Hello and welcome everybody to Get Good Season 5. We're in the North American playoffs. We're in round 2, week 1. We're going to be seeing Sakura versus Boats in our intermediate bracket. For your casting entertainment today, I'm going to be Sir Waltham, joined by Shy Guy. Shy Guy, the intermediate bracket. I'm excited to see it.
I'm pumped. I mean, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the season here with the playoffs coming in this weekend, continuing on through the next few weeks and regions around the world. But tonight we're here we're in the intermediate division, and this is the second round, but also the upper bracket semis. The winner here tonight moves on into that upper bracket final. So like there's a lot on the line for these two teams, and I think we've got two of the best in the division going at it.
Yeah, looking just at the map spread for these two teams, it certainly seems to be a little bit towards the truth. Sakura so far having an 11-0 record from what I'm understanding, and then Boats pretty up there, not as perfect. They have a 9-2.
Yeah, so Sakura coming out on top of their group in the regular season, Boats finishing second in theirs, and then now heading on into the playoffs where Boats looking to be the first team that can knock off Sakura all season long. Of course, it's going to be a tough task. I mean, they have been really unstoppable throughout the entirety of the season, and now that we're in playoffs, the competition gets a little bit stiffer, and we get to see whether they are ready to rise to the challenge.
Hopefully not as much casual play coming through from these teams, knowing that it's pretty razor's edge right now, neither one really wanting to be put in that uncomfortable spot of a loss. But we're going to be starting off on Lijiang Tower here, Shy Guy. How do you think that reads for these teams?
As far as how the individual matchup is going to play out, I think we're just going to have to wait and see. This will be the first time that I've gotten to cast either of these teams. I think I've seen some of the players on Sakura in the past before. Aspect is a name that definitely rings a bell for me as a caster, but I'm just excited to see how the matchups are going to play out on this map. We'll start off on Garden, which to me signals that we might be getting a little bit of far out action going.
Well, you certainly speak to my heart there, Shy Guy. I'm going to be hopeful that personally we're going to see that Farah come out, but for the time being, a lot of potential for a few different compositions, and Sakura right now looking like they might be inclined towards something a little divey.
Yeah, that's definitely something that works here on Garden, more so than any of the other points on Lijiang Tower. This is where dive can really come into its own and find a lot of value as to what they're going to kind of fit around it. They've got this Mercy Ana duo for the supports, which tells me Aspect might be just using the TP for the quick rollout and switching over to Farah.
We're certainly going to be finding out. Aspect, in fact, going to be on that Farah. Both Farahs coming out from each side. However, it's going to be Gas on that McCree to mash. Hopefully able to put the pressure down onto Aspect. And we're going to see now a little bit of positioning coming in, and Speedy already taking it heavy to the supports, but leaving their side a little blinded. Aspect going to be cleaning them up, and already absolute aerial dominance going to be shown here from Sakura. It's going to be putting them in a good spot, and Aspect taking down that counter in McCree does lose their wing woman in Mercy, but they're going to be feeling all right about that. Sakura has that first cap.
Yeah, so I mean, with the rotation that Boats were taking, going through the White Room with the Ryan Zarya comp, they really can't deal with the Far at all. Aspect just completely free to take that duel, eventually wins it out. Now a nice Bionade gonna come in for the cleanup, sets up Sakura really, really well here on Lijiang Tower. They're off to a great start.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not sure if that was a late fall from Savage, but coming in, it's gonna cause the team to have to wait a little bit longer to get regrouped from the side of Boats. And so far, it doesn't look like we're seeing any wholesale swaps. And that Ryan Zarya currently looks to be struggling a little bit here, Shy Guy.
No, I mean, it's going to be hard for the side of Boats to push in here. They've got to try and get into close quarters now that they've gotten a little bit of an entry, but Speedy just cannot seem to take this fight.
Once again getting the better of their counterpart in that Farah, and now really just trying to pressure in that building that we see Boats trying to camp inside of. The Nano Boost goes onto the Winston Stun, trying to get so much cleave damage, just buying that space for Aspect to eventually drop the Rocket Barrage. Doesn't take out Benpin, but Nova's got their back on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the nano boosted Winston, for all the damage that it can do, it's a little bit of a red herring there for boats. They focus all their attention onto the monkey, and Osipek sneaks in the side, lays down the barrage, and Sakura keep things rolling.
Now we're seeing Nova set up with a little bit of a forward hold, trying to get this pulse mine in. Going to see if they can find that purchase, preferably onto Sir Danknom. Might be able to take out that support early. Throws it, whiffs just a little bit, not able to get that pick, but pulls back out, doesn't suffer too much loss from it. And right now it looks like Sakura just letting the front lines of boats come in. And the Primal Rage coming out, looks like that Sunbun almost hit somebody off the map, trying to bully that Reinhardt right about now. Not going to be finding it the way they want, however. And now the High Noon coming in from Gas is going to try to buy a little bit of space. They might be trying to clear the air from Aspect as well. But the Earth Shatter coming in is going to be really clearing out the point here. As we see that Benfin gets a few kills off the back end and Team get off the back end. But Nightmare eats the grab from Micah. That was a crucial ult eat from the D.Va. It doesn't really matter in the end, however, as Boats does manage to pull this point in favor.
Yeah, they're not going to need the grab to win the fight there, but now Asapek not really ready to quite give up on this one. Gets the late kill onto Gas, and with these dive tanks, this is going to be a quick re-engage from Sakura.
Certainly will be. We already see the rotations coming out, but Speedy takes down Nova. That Tracer not being in the backline is going to make the supports rest a little bit easier. Sir Dank and Savage probably going to be appreciating that. As now they're holding on to point, it's looking like Sakura doing a little bit of a stagger stuff, trying to figure out where exactly they want to go. But Aspect going to open up the skies, taking it down Speedy. Doesn't look like Savage is going to go for the res. Aspect getting a quad kill off the back end of that rocket barrage. This is all for Sakura.
I mean, the pretty much unassisted. There wasn't even like any CC to set that up. You know, the grab is on the other side of the field. Micah and Asapek just doing so much work on this bar. Absolutely dominates Gardens from start to finish, and Sakura getting it started on the right foot here. They have been undefeated all season, and they do not look like they want to give that up.
That is a streak that they want to kind of hold their name to here. I loved the Pharah play coming out, but it looks like we might be seeing a different explosive hero come out on the field, Shy Guy.
I mean, it definitely makes sense as we head over to Control Center. Even a Pharah as good as Asapek is going to have a problem getting a lot of value on this really close quarters point. But on the other side, I'm interested in seeing Speedy on the Genji. I mean, this is a pick we've been seeing more and more and more lately, but going to have a little bit of a hard time, I think, on this point in particular.
We'll have to find out. Asapek's already building up to that Riptire. Gotta be just chucking down that damage, really putting the pressure onto those shields, making sure that anybody gets caught out by even one of those kills is going to be at an incredible risk. And Sakura, they're going to absolutely pride that advantage. They're going to get some easy point control here, as it does take the knee from Boats to have to back out and kind of reposition themselves. And already Benson feeling the pressure, getting focused down by the opposing tanks. And with this, the field does get leveled just a bit, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to stop the thunderstorm that is Sakura as they push forward.
Yeah, I mean, they play that so well. They get to the point first because they use the Sim TP immediately out of spawn. They have Nova, drop that and then swap immediately. But they get control of the high ground. Aspect just laying in these mines from afar, and his defense going to be tough to crack.
Certainly will, especially with this Riptire coming online. Will Aspect look to use it early on? Looks like the positioning inclines they might be ready to take a little bit of a dive back. They might wait for the hard engage here, however. With that, the early kill onto Savage means that Lucio's not going to be able to build up that sound barrier. Very crucial as we look forward to the next few fights. And with that, it looks like Sakura now going to be pushing even farther forward.
This is just clinical from them right now. They haven't had to use a single ultimate so far to win either of these fights. Now Speedy giving up on the Genji about as soon as he, picked it up, goes over to try and match the Junkrat, but so far behind in ult charge, they don't have the tools to really break through here, I don't think.
They certainly don't. Speaking of breaking through that tire, looking to rip a hole in the side of Boats. Doesn't find anything as Gas has it in his sight. The Earth Shatter coming in, only lands onto Nova, but Nova receiving a ton of healing from this Coalescence in one Austin. The same can't be said for Sunbun, who falls on that Reinhardt. Now it looks like Sakura having to buckle back just a little bit. They're not really ready to deal with this spam damage now coming in from the side of Boats. Boats gonna be chasing them all the way to point. And this long wraparound is certainly going to give the respawns a little bit of time. Aspect on that Junkrat taking a little bit of a flight, and they need to be careful as this Junkrat might just pry those pills right in. The high noon coming in from Gas, really zoning out the point if possible. Gets the high ground off the back of the concussion mine, takes down Nightmare. And this is taking a long time, but it looks like both might be able to flip it. Sunbun coming in, swinging a little bit wildly, but the Wild Man doesn't win the point.
Sakura, they get all the way up to 99%, so you can't be too picky about what they've just done or what they've done so far on this map in general, but I feel like they overcommit a little bit there in terms of the ultimates. They use their graph to try and turn that one around, the sound barrier as well, but nothing doing for them, and now they'll have to bide their time a little bit unless Sunbun can come up clutch with this shatter.
Yeah, Speedy gonna be throwing in the tire off the top end, but again, takes it down as that Lucio, and now it's gonna be Asapek's turn. The tire finding much more value for Asapek, able to find that cluster of teammates. Now the ult's just being dropped for Sakura. They're gonna feel comfortable about this and get the flip.
Yeah, and they'll take the map. Easy as that. No chance for Boats to get back in here and recontest. And Sakura take Lijiang Tower convincingly. They lost one fight in the entirety of the map. I mean, that was dominance at its peak.
Yeah, it's looking so good from Sakura. I think that Asapek on this projectile here, on these projectile heroes, just looking very crispy. Of course, not to say they're not being supported by the rest of their team, but these plays like this right here really goes to show.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, the team play was great from Sakura, but the team play doesn't help you land double direct rockets onto the opposing Pharah multiple times in that first round. That is all individual skill coming out from Mass Effect, and perhaps a little bit of I don't want to say disrespect, but kind of disrespect coming out from Boats. They don't really pay that much attention to him up in the sky, at least at the beginning, and he's there with the punish constantly.
Yeah, it certainly did feel exactly like just a little bit of a punish, but as we look ahead onto our escort map, it does come in that it's going to be Junkertown. This opens up the question of now, do the snipers come into play here, Shy Guy?
Oh, you would think so. Especially for Boats, they're the ones choosing to take us to this map, so they got to feel like they've got something up their sleeves to kind of answer what Sakura just did to them. Because, and you need that at this point. You need something to swing the momentum back in your favor. That first map's so one-sided. If you lose this one as Boats, you got to feel like the morale goes down the tubes immediately.
Yeah, this is where Boats need to kind of hang on, grip the side of the seatbelt, and just try to rip it as hard as they can. And who knows? Maybe Sakura not going to be fitting their most optimal here. We didn't really get a favored map pool from Sakura, so unsure if this is really within their wheelhouse without having observed them as much as humanly possible. Just not capable with the amount of broadcasts we got going. But yeah, I'm hopeful.
Given what we saw, just like briefly there on Lijiang Tower, it wasn't much, but they played dive and then they played brawl. And a part of that is, of course, the maps that we were playing there in Lijiang. But now, as we head over to Junkertown, this is a map that probably demands a little bit of a different style from this team. You're not going to be able to play Asapek on the Pharah, I don't think, or even the Junkrat that we saw. He's going to have to broaden his hero pool a little bit more now. Although we have no clue what his capabilities are in terms of what heroes he is really comfortable going to, but it's going to have to deviate from the two we've already seen for sure, which, if you're Boats, I think you're pretty thankful for. He was a terror.
Yeah, and I think there's this unsaid understanding we have when it comes to moving from that control point to something more objective based like that escort. Now you're not just dealing in straight deathmatch. You're not just dealing in killing the other team more effectively. There's an objective that you have to focus on, a cart in this instance that you'll have to push. That can kind of change the dynamic of these teams up a little bit. I think that's where we might see if Boats can really focus their attention to, because a lot of times teams will win the control points, but will just absolutely fumble the ball and everything else.
Yeah, and like part of the reason for that, and the reason why I just am personally so much more a fan of getting later into the series, getting away from those control maps, is positioning starts to become such a factor. Once you get into these payload and escort maps, there's a lot of different ways to approach any given fight, any given point. Whereas, when you've got those symmetrical control points, it's a little bit harder to distinguish yourself in terms of how you approach the fight. It comes down more to the mechanics and the individual skill, which so far has gone the way of Sakura, but Boat's definitely looking to change that now.
Yes, of course. It looks like Sakura is going to start off on the defense here as we get started. So we're going to have a few moments to see what they're going to be running as they roll out on that defense.
Yeah, for sure, and going for something fairly standard here as they step out of the spawn doors. That Winston or that Sigma Orisa tank duo is going to be in play for Sakura as they roll out on the defense aspect. We said he would pick up probably a different hero here, and it's gonna be the Genji. So that will be interesting to see if he can be the same kind of carry DPS on this hero as well.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to be very excited to keep an eye on is the ult generation rates for these heroes. Genji able to build up quite a lot faster of an ult in recent times, so we'll see if that holds true for Asapex playing him, but the gates are going to open up. We do see these teams coming out. Gas looking like they're trying to find an early pick with that Widow, but doesn't quite seem to land. Now these Widows going to be trying to just play a little bit of a pick style comp, try to find anybody who might be out. They might be looking to coordinate with their Orisa on the side of the defense, but so far not quite landing anything.
Yeah. I thought this was just going to be something for Binfin, that he stepped out of spawn, looked for a quick hook, went back to swap, but he's sticking with the Roadhog. The Roadhog Sigma tank duo is not one that I have ever seen before, and I'm curious to see how they can really make progress, how they take space with this lineup.
Like, is certainly going to have to be very prepared with that shield. That Widowmaker might take somebody's head off if they're even a little bit suboptimal with it. And Benfin getting caught out trying to retreat off the back of some ability cooldowns, but gets stunned out of them and taken down by Wong Austin and co. And now Sakura kind of digging their feet, digging their heels into the dirt a little bit. Gonna be holding this angle, and you have to keep an eye on Speedy in these backlines. Don't want to let that Genji build up too much charge.
Yeah, I'm just extremely confused right now, to be honest. Binfin goes for a solo flank on the Roadhog, and with a team as good as Sakura, you have to imagine that they're going to punish that. They use the halt, they use the stuns, and they just shut it down completely. He gets a nice hook there onto Nightmare, but absolutely no help from his team, no way to finish off that kill.
Yeah, not a lot of focus coming in with this Roadhog, and Nova going to be taking them down, making a pin cushion out of him. And with this, Agate's going to be using that amplification matrix to try to just get that damage pride in, make it a little bit more vulnerable for their opposing team to really push in here. And Sakura already kicking back. They're looking pretty comfortable at this turn.
I mean, they haven't been put under hardly any pressure at all. I mean, Gas trying to find angles, but they aren't giving him the shots he's looking for on this Widowmaker. Speedy hasn't really been a factor so far, and Binfin finally forced off of the Roadhog, gonna pick up the Orisa. Makes a lot more sense in terms of the composition, but is it too late?
No one can.
Might be gonna be a long time to build up that supercharger, and Speedy taken down early by Nova's gonna impede the push coming in from boats once again. Asapek gonna be having this Genji blade up, no Brig Rally or Ana Nano to really pair with, but it looks like Asapek setting up for it right now. Might just initiate as soon as that push gets started. They see the dive coming in from the opposing. Genji decides to instead help peel that back a little bit.
And he nearly is able to take out Speedy there, but we're down to almost a minute remaining on this push. The Gravitic Flux out from Nightmare.
It's going to try to drop the enemies low. Aspect gets the kill onto Speedy, but gets slept. Sir Dykenam going to be a little bit frustrated that somebody woke up their query, but with that, again, the defense comes in strong.
And, most of the time when you're running the Orisa Sigma duo in the modern meta, you're running it with a Batiste as one of your supports, so you have that immortality field to counter out an opposing Gravitic Flux or even the Dragon Blade. But with the Ana Brig, there's really no way for folks to kind of survive that.
They do have that rally up and online. They might be looking to get a little bit more aggro with this. The Hulk coming online and yoinking them all to the same spot. The blade coming out from Speedy gets shut down by Wong Austin. The shield bash whip shot chain. Team Focus just coming in so strong there for the side of Sakura. Not able to find it. Sir Dank, I'm going to be investing that nano boost onto Benfin on that Orisa, but Benfin kind of taking those angles really slowly, not getting as aggressive as he might like. And that gives Nova the opportunity to take the heads of these supports and really allow these angles to be opened up for the Widowmaker, who's trying to get rid of Speedy.
I mean, and gonna have help there, so it doesn't even really have to worry in that case. An incredible full hold coming out there from Sakura. They are rolling right now. This is starting to look a little bit ugly.
And we said that at the end of the second map, if Boats didn't win it, they'd start to be a little bit nervous. I think you can start feeling a little bit nervous right here. This is not a great spot to have to hold up to.
Yeah, this feels insurmountable. I mean, I've seen nothing so far that suggests Boats are going to be able to make this comeback. Sakura has just been that on top of things. Like they haven't gotten caught off guard by any of it, whether it was the flanking Roadhog, any of the choices that Boats have made so far just haven't been able to crack through. And I don't see any reason to think that that's changing as Sakura look to continue their dominance in this series. They haven't lost yet this season, and now I'm starting to see why.
Yeah, I think that the skills coming through from these players certainly can't go understated. I mean, it seems like everybody's having their good moments, right? Like the Wong shutting down Speedy on that Dragon Blade, absolute fan of that maneuver. I always like when the Genjis, go in there, make a real big dive, try to make a big play and just absolutely get canceled out. I know it's frustrating as a player, but I love seeing it as a caster.
Yeah, I mean, that's the team play over the individual play there coming through for Sakura. They're ready for the dive as it came in from Speedy, and now they're setting up, and Boat's gonna have one shot at this. They lose one fight, and this map is over.
It's going to be on to Gas to perhaps try to get those early kills, but they're going to have to go against their counterpart in Nova, who we've seen some pretty good performance coming out of them so far. It looks like they're going to be sticking on to the Sig Ori defense for now, but Gas taking down Nova, I might have spoken a little too soon. Definitely not out of the box just yet. They got that kill exactly where they needed it, and that's going to open up the sightlines for this defense. So Dankdom going to be forcing out the Immortality Field of a Gate and focusing it down, and now it looks like Sakura having to back off just a little bit.
Yeah, that'll buy some time for Boats to continue holding here, but the payload already knocking on the door, so they've got to be perfect from here on out.
They really do. Gas trying to find these angles as the Sigma shield gets broken down, having to rotate just a little bit, and now the lines for the side of Boats looks like they were breaking, but Nova was able to find that kill onto Wong Austin, meaning that Break's not able to be a little bit of a mini enforcer herself. And now this fight is just getting so scrimmy, neither team really wanting to get any more than 4 people off the map, but Nova taking the wide rotation is going to allow those kills to come through that Widowmaker uncontested. It did not seem like Boats had their heads on a swivel, and because of that, they're going to be able to get this cart ferried through first, no problem.
Yeah, easy as that for Sakura. Nova gets on the flank, wins the duel up against Gast, and that is all she wrote for Boats there on Junkertown. Pretty swiftly through 2 maps. We are 20 minutes into this series and it's already a 2-0. It feels like this one might be over pretty soon unless Boats, find some answers in the next few minutes. They're going to be in a little bit of trouble.
They really are looking to have to start bailing their boat out of the water. And now it's looking like, what do you do? How you can't out mechanic Sakura in some of these instances. Their tactics just seem to allow them to have that higher mechanical skill. Your compositions don't seem to have a fair matchup. What is the secret sauce that Boats needs to try to do here, Shy Guy?
You need to switch the names on the 2 teams in lobby so that we think that Boats win the next map. I'm not entirely sure right now. I don't think there are easy prescriptions when a series is kind of going like this. This is obviously not what Boats was looking for. I assume they were hoping for a much more competitive series that they might even have a chance to win, but Sakura so far is really just untouchable, and I don't see that necessarily changing in the near future. They seem like they are ready to punch their ticket into that upper bracket final. They don't want to have to mess with the lower bracket at all. They just want to get their wins and get on out of here because they look just polished and ready to go, honestly.
And while we're talking about punching that ticket, it looks like Kings Row is going to be the map that Sakura is going to try to get the 3-0 on, get the third point, that is, as we move on to these hybrid maps. Kings Row, a little bit of a favorite here, Shy Guy, and Sakura, they look like they have this in the bag. What do you think Boat's best chance is in terms of composition going forward?
I do at least want them to kind of just play something that makes a little bit more sense in terms of just the composition. Like last time on Junkertown, they rolled out with that Sigma Hog duo, which I struggle to understand the reasoning behind, to be totally honest. So give me something that is a little bit more classical in terms of the pairings. Either stick with that Orisa Sigma. It's obviously the duo du jour right now when it comes to the tank line. Or now that we're on Kings Row, go to something like Orion Zarya. I mean, if your players have been in Overwatch for a while, I'm sure that those are kind of comfort picks for the tanks. So something like that could bring this back a little bit. But they need to stop trying to kind of go off script, I think, necessarily, or maybe they need to go more off script. I truly don't know at this point.
Yeah, I think that just doing your research might have been the only way they could really get the anti-venom for the Sakura team coming forward here, and it's looking really, really strong from Sakura. And Boats, as we've said, they're not one of those 2-8 teams or 2-9 teams. They're a team that still has a pretty good win record, and I don't think this speaks against them as much as it speaks highly in favor of Sakura.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I came into this series, it's our upper bracket semis. Like we're down to what should be kind of like the 4 best teams in this intermediate division. So I definitely expected this one to be a little bit closer, but so far Sakura just asserting themselves constantly. And now as we were going over to Kings Row, they're modifying their comp yet again. This team has been insanely versatile throughout this series. They've shown us so many different looks. Now we got Asapek on the Doomfist. They're rolling out with that Rhine Orisa duo. So really, really brawly here. And I'm curious what Boats can do to kind of answer it. The Pharah out from Speedy, I actually think could be a good choice.
Speedy going to have pretty much uncontested air control with the exception of maybe Wong Austin trying to get some shots in. But once again, Benfin on this Hog, really going to have to look for those openings, and they won't have the Orisa to set them up. Asapek waiting for those tanks to kind of move a little bit far forward, gets caught out by Gas. Takes a few shots, but ultimately the more important part is that Asapek has to force the rotate out a little bit early. They're not able to get that early damage in. And now it looks like Sakura having to back up just a little bit. Benfin finding that value with the Roadhogs they were looking for on Junkertown. Speedy going to be taken to the air over that Kings Row point. Taking down Wong Austin now as well. A lot of healing going to be missing from the side of Sakura. And Speedy now looking to claim it back a little bit. They kind of want to be the star DPS of the show here, Shy Guy.
Yeah, the Pharah works out beautifully for them, and they show the kind of the first signs of life we have really seen from them throughout this entire series. A lot of that, I think, is a failure of the composition on the side of Sakura. They have no way to contest him, and they give up so much ground, despite the fact that they're running the brawl into the Roadhog on the other side. They don't take the straight-up fight. They back off. They try to kind of play from behind, and Speedy there with the punish. He gets it again with the double kill on the barrage, and this is a great start for Boats.
It's a pretty good start, as even though they do lose that Pharah, they're still going to have a little bit of a respawn for the side of Sakura to have to walk back, so you're not going to be hurting too much, especially since Speedy can use that concussion blast to really get moving forward.
For sure, as now Benfin continues kind of posturing forward, constantly on the search for an opportunity to hook someone. He grabs it off the back.
Yeah, and Gabe not going to be able to get that res on early. Boats looking a lot better all of a sudden here on Kings Row. And the pull coming in from Benfin gonna mean that Reinhardt gets pulled out. Not really that front line tank to get up towards that second point. And Boats is just going to carry forward.
Okay, now I guess I understand the Roadhog pick. It's just because Benfin is capable of being an absolute beast on the pick. I mean, they punished him pretty hard for it on Junkertown, but so far here on Kikdro, he's just popping off, finding a lot of opportunities to get those hooks in, and despite the double shields on the other side, still managing to make it work.
Yeah, this very forward pull, that was so close to being pulled right into the pit for Sunbun.
I thought he had it.
Reeling a little bit back for it. Nova takes that first kill onto Gas, meaning that now the offense going to be stuttering back just a little bit, not going to be able to hold that cart as back as they might like, but Gas being brought right back up and getting those kills. Sunbun getting the investment with that Earth Shatter, but will it be enough? Taken down by Speedy. It looks like by the seat of their pants, both might be able to pull it forward. That Sigma's gonna fall. The Tracer, last one to contest, but it's not gonna be for long.
Well, in the positioning there for Binfin, it was really strange because he's completely behind enemy lines there, but it works out great because they have to push towards the point. They can't afford to just leave it and you know, focus him down. So he just gets to sit in the back line, laying in damage, going for those hooks. He eventually got Wong Austin off the edge of the map with one. So really coming up clutch once again, and Boats seeming to find new life.
Speedy gonna be getting the nano boost right into a rocket barrage. Gets created out of it though. Still has that nano boost in effect though. Doesn't find a whole lot of purchase for it. Instead, it's gonna be up to Nightmare to try to lift them up and bring them to the ground. Speedy does take down Ana with that Pharah, but so far looks like the fight is going all in favor of Sakura. Not really able to use that Widow to much advantage as we see Aspect absolutely pestering him.
It's going to be hard for Gas to get a lot of value here. Same for Speedy on the Pharah. Eventually will just swap over to the Doomfist now for this final stage of the map, is looking for a bit more of that brawly comp. Even Binfin finally done with the Roadhog. It was a great showing for it here on map number 3, but now he's over to the Orisa as they feel like they need a little bit more staying power on the cart, more of those shields to be able to finish off the map.
Yeah, and Aspect about to cast that reel out, looking to go fishing with that pulse mine. The infra sights coming out gives them a good idea of where the enemy Widow is. Not going to be able to find it. However, Aspect really being pushed back and now has to take a little bit of a knee as the rest of the attacking team going to be pushing forward here. Sunbun, however, able to stifle the attack from Speedy. Doomfist not going to be able to push that major threat. And with that, it's now looking a little bit more even. These Widows being very careful to not take each other's heads off.
No, they're looking for the shots. Only hitting the bodies right now, is no one able to take firm advantage at this point, but Nova with a very cheeky angle, almost able to get it. One of these days, he's gonna find it.
We've seen Nova perform before, and there it is, gonna be leveling out. Gas takes down the Ana. Both Widows finding a little bit of value there, and Speedy on that Doomfist, a little bit too far ahead of their team, gets caught out rather immediately. The Hulk combination's now coming in strong. Sunbun performing really well on this Orisa and opening up their team.
For sure, and you know, this is where it seems like Sakura getting back into their comfort zone after being dislodged a little bit, put on the back foot by Boats. I don't think they're necessarily expecting the hot start here on King's Row after the way the last two maps went, but now they're settling in to this point C defense. Nova is starting to find some of these shots, and they are looking quite strong here, but they're going to have to deal with the Gravitic Flux out from Micah, the Amp Matrix from Serdenkum, so we'll see if Boats have what it takes to push on.
Yeah, Nightmare going to be using that Kinetic Grasp just to deal a little bit of damage resistance, or rather to mitigate that damage, and then going right into a Flux. A lot of members for the attacking team being brought dangerously low. The Immortality Field does get focused out as that Tracer Pulse Mine comes in. And right now, that anti-nade coming in from the Ana is going to be looking very powerful. Wong Austin really enabling their team to get aggressive, knowing that there's no healing for the attackers.
For sure, and that's really what kind of helps them clean up the fight in the end. And now Boats, for all the momentum that they had gathered over the course of these first 2 points, are now starting to slow a little bit, starting to lag behind. They're getting caught up here, in Aspect again in off the flank, looking for an opportunity to find the quick assassination.
The question is, can they? That whole almost grabbing them, knocking them out of position, but Aspect going to be walking away just fine. Has to regroup with the team. That means that now Boat's not going to have to worry about that Tracer in the back line. However, maybe it's the front they need to worry about, as these sights coming in from Nova gets lifted up with that, caught out by the Immortality Field, so not going to be brought to their knees quite yet. The same can't be said for Nightmare, as these kills looking favorable for the attackers. Now Boats leading forward. They didn't utilize their Dragon Blade, so they're going to have it for this next coming fight. Will Speedy choose to use it on this engagement? It's being brought dangerously low. The Supercharger coming out. Speedy not going to be initiating off the back end of it as quickly as I thought they might. They're going to be using it now after that Supercharger has had a little bit of a duration. Speedy brought dangerously low, eventually gets cleaned up by Nova, but the attackers still looking so good and they're actually able to finish it. That's big.
There we go, Boats. This is more like it. This is what I was expecting coming into a series with this kind of stakes this late in the playoffs. You know, this is the competition I was hoping for in the first place. Boats coming to life here on Kings Row. I don't know what they did in between Junkertown and Kings Row, but whatever it was, it is working for them right now. They are able to calmly and steadily push through the map, and you know they catch Sakura off guard a little bit at the beginning there, but still a very impressive showing for Boats, and they gotta feel good about what they were just able to do.
You look at this in stark comparison to Junkertown. I think Boats gonna be feeling a lot better. Like a 20-pound weight has been lifted off their chest. They're gonna be able to breathe a little bit easier. They probably would have liked to get over that 1 minute mark for the third point cap, but at this point, you gotta take what you can get.
Yeah, sorry, boaters can't be choosers in this case, and they needed something because you know this has to do a lot for your mentality as well. It tells you as Boats, like, hey, this team is beatable. Like we can fight them, we can win. Now we just have to do it, you know, a bunch more times. We cannot, you don't have a lot of wiggle room to work with for the rest of the series, but you know, they do bleed.
And if Titans can bleed, they can die. Sakura still in a very Titanic situation, but it's certainly within the reach of Boats as this fight goes forward. Nova on this Ashe, looking to play that fight a little bit closer up, but Speedy on the Junkrat going to be very capable of spamming down that damage. But speaking of damage, Nova getting some early dynamite shots in, looking for it. Now wrapping through this hotel, might be looking to feed some more dynamite to the enemy team. These halts coming in from Sunbun. I'm a huge fan of how they're trying to pair that with different abilities, especially that dynamite. Doesn't quite find it. Gas able to take down Nova. Defenders do trade even. That's probably not what they'd most prefer, but they're going to have a little bit of stability. They're going to have to back up, give their Ashe some time to walk back to the point. And the amplification window is going to come in, really trying to alleviate the pressure felt by those main tanks, really put that damage in. Doesn't really look like a lot's able to be accomplished by it, and Benfit getting caught out a little bit, sandwiched between two shields, preventing the healing and the damage from going out. And with this, Ass Effect's going to be pushing very far forward, but it's not going to be enough. They do eventually fall, but it's going to open up the point for Sakura.
They've got point A in their grasp, and really they just kind of bully Boats off of the point the entire way there. It's all the positioning and the intelligent play coming out from Sakura as they slowly but surely kind of take ground and force Boats into an awkward position, having to back up through the archway and back over towards the hotel. So very well played from Sakura. They get off to a strong start on this attack, and they're going to have some ults coming online, starting with this Gravitic Flux.
The positioning of Boats right at the apex between these two angles, really trying to find some value. That Junkrat on high gets taken down immediately with the Junkrat higher Nightmare catching their bluff right out of the gate. Not going to be allowing that value to come through, and that means that now Sakura might be a little bit more confident in pushing ahead, especially as these kills start to come through. With that, the Grab Flux comes in from Micah, but it doesn't reveal too much except eliminating the threat of that Immortality field. As we get moving, Nova on this side angle once again, loves taking those side angles, just meanders out of the way of that giant accretion boulder. And now Sakura getting pretty far ahead of themselves.
No, and they're looking to just kind of gatekeep Boats from being able to push back in here and recontest. Nightmare has the Gravitic Flux, not even going to need to use it there to stop the contest at the end. In 5.5 minutes, for all the momentum that Boats had, Sakura is trying to seize it back immediately.
Fortunately, Gas does have that Bob, so might be looking to set it up to get that Bob set up onto point and really just buy some time off the clock if possible. Give the opportunity for a few more openings to come in, either from Speedy or from Gas themselves. Bob going to be diving in right onto the back of Cart. Gas getting focused down quite low, and so does Bob. Bob taken out of the fight within about 3 seconds of that Supercharger now going to be coming out from Sunbun. Really opens things up for Sakura. Aspect deflecting so much damage. Having that Dragon Blade online, again, choosing not to combo it with the Supercharger quite yet. Going to be saving it for this last push, it seems.
He's not even going to need it there. They're just cleaning up every kill imaginable. Just pulls it out just for funsies at the very end. And 5-17. I mean, yes, they get a little bit of time added back from boats being up under a minute, but just an unreal time bank that Sakura are going to have when they get into extra rounds. The pressure is back onto boats, unfortunately. They alleviated it for a little while there with a strong attack, but they just kind of flop on the defense, unfortunately.
And realistically, if you're boats here, you have maybe 2 attacks, and then your last one has to stick for as long as possible. Because once you get off that cart, that overtime timer is going to burn down so incredibly fast, you might not have a chance to have anybody get back to point.
No, this is going to take just an unbelievable effort from boats at this point. Not only do you need to come up with a big defense and have a ton of time to burn off the clock, but you've got to put up a score on this offense. You need to get through, I'm going to say at least point B. Given what we've seen from Sakura, I think you really need to put 2 points on the board here to give yourselves a shot as boats. And, you know, they did it very quickly the first. The Roadhog Sigma, it worked on their attack the first time, but Sakura not going to be caught off guard this time. No Doom Reaper DPS duo for them, so the Pharah won't be as free for sure.
Speedy gonna now have to contest with Nova on that Ashe. Gonna be playing in line with those tanks is Nova. Really trying to find that value. The Dynamite as well as the shots onto Speedy gonna prove absolutely instrumental here. Aspect already get taken down rather early. A good opening for this Boats squad. The other DPS getting focused down in Nova. And with this, Speedy trying to get that Ashe so they can have free reign, but they're not going to be fighting it. In fact, Nova's going to be the one who takes it. This Baptiste on the high ground going to be keeping their team alive, but they can't do that if the anti-nade is preventing those deaths. A little bit of a bold res coming in from a Savage. Not going to be paying off in the end.
No, not at all. I mean, you can't really go for that when you don't have a shield in front of you. It's just not going to be able to happen. Sakura not going to allow it. And now this is looking pretty dire for boats. They've got 6 seconds to get on the point trigger, the overtime, but Speedy already being forced to comp blast away. This is going to be rough.
They need to get 1 tick here, and already we can see that Sakura's just letting them try to get onto point, get a little bit more comfortable with it as they respond. And now the kills coming in for boats. Maybe Sakura being a little bit too liberal with that point possession. Going to be taking the accretion onto Aspect. They're going to be the last one they clean up, and it's not over for boats.
Nope, not just yet. At least they're going to get to take this cart as far as they can in overtime. This is where the money is made in these extra rounds. Being able to do things like that for Gast gives them a great shot to continue this momentum. They won't be able, or Sakura won't be able to fully regroup anytime in the near future with that respawn coming in from Nova. So this is now looking a little bit better for boats, but they've got to make something of the push.
They do have that rocket barrage, but not a whole lot to really pair with it. Sir does not have that nano boost online, and Speedy catching out Nightmare, making that Sigma have to rotate behind just a little bit. Looks like Nightmare might have been trying to set up, but the Hasselbeck getting the next kill onto Gas. Gonna be a little bit unfortunate, but Benfin gonna be answering back. Now the rocket barrage coming in. Wong Austin taken down in the middle of their rally. That is a crucial loss. Defense really gonna be reeling from that one, but Bob comes in to save the day, getting 2. Nova cleaning up. Nobody on Cart. Round 3's over. Cart did not get that far, Shy Guy.
No, I don't think it got far enough at all here. Unfortunately for boats, this looks to probably be the end of the line for them. It was not a bad push by any means. They had a minute there. I mean, like you can't expect all that much in that situation, especially when Sakura, they were ready for it. They built up their ultimates. They had so much overwhelming damage coming out with the Supercharger and the Amp Matrix there to close out that final fight. Even with a decent flanking barrage coming in from Speedy, it's just not enough for boats. They probably needed a little bit more out of that. And I mean, I can't blame Speedy at all. He did what he needed to do, but Sakura just kind of ran away from him.
Yeah, and I mean, even that kill onto Nova was probably one of the big reasons they were able to get as much progress through Streets phase as they were, even though it wasn't a monumental amount. However, speaking of monumental, they're now going to have to go up against this 5-minute 17 time bank, and that's going to be a little bit grim.
Yeah, I mean, this, if they pull this off, hats off to them. This will maybe be just like the most incredible turnaround I've ever seen from a team, given the way these first two maps went and how that last attack for Sakura was. If they even can make this close at this point, I will be thoroughly impressed with the effort that Boats have put in. But they're going to have to deal with Aspect back on the Pharah. He blew them to pieces on Li Zhang on this pick, and now looking to do it once again.
Got the big anti-nade coming in from the offense. Going to make the defense have to take a little bit of a knee.
Oh, no.
Have to lean back here. And Aspect already getting the first few kills, the Immortality Field, and Micah being taken down by a few stray rockets. And with this, already the points have been blown wide open. It's looking so good for Sakura.
Yep. GG's go next. Thanks for playing, Boats, but I think this might just be the end of the line, especially with these late kills coming in. Not everybody on the defense is going to be able to respawn. Speedy and Savage both getting those back spawns, and the cart is almost there already. Like, it's just rolling out of the garage, and we're nearly to the finish line.
Yeah, only 45 meters to go. Can anybody make the last minute touch? It looks like there's certainly going to be people trying, but Gas on that Widowmaker, not able to find it, not able to find those crucial headshots, those crucial picks that you really need to get as that Widow. And right now Sakura just holding in front of this checkpoint for the Sakura squad, actually crucial.
Yeah, they've got this one in the bag. No one going to be able to get there to stop the cart, and Sakura, they finish off the clean sweep. They were undefeated coming in. They're undefeated going out, and they are in the upper bracket final of the intermediate division.
Yeah, you're going to be feeling pretty good about that. A 3-0 victory over Boats. Although, I got to say, it made me a little bit happy to see Boats picking it up here towards the back end. I think they had a great first run at King's Row. A lot better than their Junkertown, and you know that can tell you what it needs to.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a little bit of a moral victory there for Boats, because you hate to come into a series like this, especially one where we're getting down to like the end of the season, and you feel like on some level these should be competitive matches, but if you come in and you just get, sweeped out unceremoniously, you don't really put up much of a fight on any of the maps, that can be pretty demoralizing. But as it is, they've got something to end on a little bit of a high note. I mean, it's still a loss for Boats, obviously not what they were looking for, but now they drop down into the lower bracket. They're not done just yet in this tournament. This is not the end for them by any means. And, they might even get themselves another shot at Sakura if they can win a couple more matches.
Yeah, they are going to be in that that losers bracket. But as we get moving forward, Sakura now going to be going up against the victor of We Showed Up and Karis. So depending on how that match pans out, I don't believe we have word quite yet. We'll be seeing Sakura in the winners semifinals as mentioned. But overall, Sakura on a warpath.
No, they look unstoppable right now, for real. That was one of the most dominant showings I have seen in my time in GitGud, as brief as it has been, coming in for this season in particular. But that was really, really impressive stuff out of Sakura. They look like, I think, probably the clear team to beat in this division, and it's going to take a huge effort for someone to knock them off.
Yeah, that is going to be a little bit of a monumental effort indeed, but lines drawn in the sand. Boats still not out there. They're holding on, and I want to see what they got, how they continue this along those lines.
Yeah, for sure. I am very excited to see what this team does through the rest of the tournament. They really showed their stuff here tonight and took ultimately a pretty clean and easy victory over Boats. And you've got to be really happy with the individual play coming out from Sakura. I mean, Asapect was the guy kind of lighting up the kill feeds at all times, but everybody on this team contributed their part. Nova was doing great work on the Widowmaker and the Ashe at times. The tank line, I thought, was setting the rest of the team up really, really well. And overall, just no complaints.
Yeah, no complaints at all. Hopefully, we're going to be seeing just as intense a game as we move on into our advanced bracket. It's going to be Requiem versus Team No Name. So stick around. We'll be back with that game right after this short break.